take you to Los Angeles, where yesterday, Lakers, Clippers, and if there was one thing we learned with certainty, this was technically a Clippers home game. If these teams meet in the playoffs, it will be 7 Laker home games. Put that in the bank. Meanwhile, here's another thing. Kawhi versus LeBron. Give me that 7 times in a row.
And I love the fact that LeBron James took it upon himself to attack Kawhi, try to get him in foul trouble, try to use that upper body frame to really punish a smaller player.
Doris Burke, look at Kawhi getting right back.
Don't take a sneak peek, LeBron, because it's going to be dunked on your head. He's calling out coverages, the spin-off and finish by Kawhi.
And the Clippers had a 4-point halftime lead. This was a game that had playoff finals intensity. There's Kawhi. He goes up high. Clippers down by 1. Kawhi would finish with 27. Now, fourth quarter, Lakers up 4. LeBron didn't take a shot in the third. He changes that here.
And I love that they got the matchup they wanted. LeBron James having the confidence to knock down shots like that. If you have Montrezl Harrell, you have Lou Will, he will take advantage of that matchup.
Now, how about on Kawhi Leonard? Takes advantage there of the whole team, Doris.
This guy in pick and roll action was absolutely unstoppable in the fourth quarter. They went to it 8 times. They scored 6.
Lakers by 10 after he makes the free throw. Then LeBron goes to the bench, but they got good minutes, even if it was a brief spell while LeBron was sitting down.
Oh, they got great minutes. I mean, Anthony Davis only had 30 points in the ball game. He's a top 5 player in the NBA.
Yeah, look at us here on the nice dish from LeBron. Flushes it the reverse. Davis had 30, as you mentioned, and then less than a minute left. Lakers will be up by 9, and Doris, it's LeBron James putting it to bed.
Yeah, on that play, he overpowers Lou Will, who he played off the floor, and he goes to his best target. And this guy just physically, I don't think they have a great matchup for him.
They run a lot of people at him, but no one seemed to have any answers. LeBron would finish with 28 points, 7 boards, 9 assists. He was spectacular yesterday, capping off a huge weekend. And to cap it off, his teammate Kyle Kuzma said, you know what? Crown this man. They were chanting MVP for him. And again, what was theoretically a road game, and the Lakers get a huge win. So I don't want to overstate the significance of this weekend. They play Milwaukee, best team in the league. They beat them. They play the Clippers, who we all thought when they're all healthy and together are the best team in the league. They beat them. So what do we say of LeBron's Lakers this morning, Doris?
Well, I had said all season, Mike, that I thought the Clippers had the higher ceiling on both ends of the floor. But I think what we saw from LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and maybe as importantly, Jay Will, Avery Bradley's ability to make shots because they were teed up beautifully. Kyle Kuzma now going from a guy who believed being a scorer was the most important thing to now believing being a winning player, contributing on the backboards, defending, doing those things, contributing in support of the 2 of the 5 best players in the league was absolutely significant.
I still have the Clippers as the favorite out of the West just because I think they still have a scoring punch. And I do believe that I don't think there was the same sense of urgency from the Clippers that you have from the Lakers, considering they had already won 2 games. And I would have to think that Doc Rivers, Ty Lue, Sam Cassell and company, that they would be able to strategize on what the right scheme is because LeBron James had to do so much in this ball game. You know, if you take the ball out of his hands, who else is really making plays for them? Maybe try to blitz him more. There's definitely no way they showed their entire hand in this one ball game, Doris.
Well, how about LeBron James this weekend? 37 points, 8 boards, 7 rebounds against Giannis and the Bucks. 28, 7, and 9 against the Clippers and was absolutely dominant. He is the only guy in the league that manipulates the game at the end better than anybody else can because of the plethora of offensive weapons he can go to.
We will continue to talk about the LeBron versus Giannis MVP conversation, but I want to bring up Anthony Davis here because you mentioned how much LeBron has to do for these Lakers. But when he was off the court, AD stepped up in a big way.
There's going to be only about 3 or 4 minutes in a playoff scenario where LeBron James is going to be off the floor. Anthony Davis has got to dominate those minutes, and he did, and I think the group understands that, Jay Will.
Doris, can I ask you a question? What conference is the best conference in the NBA?
As Zach Lowe likes to say, the West is the varsity conference.
The West is the varsity conference. To watch LeBron James at 35 lead this team in the varsity conference, if that's how we're referring to it, as Zach Lowe would say, to lead the league in assists, to carry the load like he's carried so much. And I know Giannis has had an historic year. I actually came into last weekend saying I thought Giannis was the MVP.
Yeah.
I think LeBron has a slight advantage. And I will say, if the narrative was used against LeBron a couple of years ago that he's in the Eastern Conference, it's not as strong as the Western Conference, I still think we need to keep that same narrative with Giannis this year.
So a week ago Sunday, I said the narrative was that there was this insurmountable gap between Giannis and LeBron. And I said, that is incorrect. If that's what you think, you haven't been paying attention to the league. Like, Giannis is doing things. He may set an efficiency record. He may win the Defensive Player of the Year. So in no way am I suggesting that I would not vote for Giannis if I had to do it today. I don't have to put pen to paper. And why would we crown somebody with 30 games to go? Lakers have 20 left. Giannis has 18. Let's let it play out.
Can I also point out one other thing? You talk about the Clippers may not have had the urgency. The Lakers are 6.5 games up in the conference. The Clippers are second. The Clippers are only 1 game ahead of Denver. They're only 2 games ahead of Utah. So the Clippers are not guaranteed. We all are basically putting in, at least in pencil and maybe even in pen, these 2 teams into the Western Conference Finals. But if they fall down the standings, all of a sudden, that's all gets shifted around.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think the matchup matters to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think what matters to the Los Angeles Clippers is health and repetition with the key guys in their lineup. That's the key, because their ceiling may be higher than anybody else's. I just think health is the most important thing, not seeding for them.
It's said with the utmost respect, which you know what's about to happen after you say something like that. They're not worried about Denver.
No.
They're not worried about Utah. They're not worried about Houston. Have you seen Houston lately?
No.
These teams are focused on winning a championship, and that's how they're going to get there against one another.
Yeah, more on that with these guys later, but let's get to some football.
We play games without the fans?
Yeah.
No, it's impossible. I ain't playing. If I ain't got the fans in the crowd, that's what I play for. I play for my teammates, I play for the fans. That's what it's all about. So if I show up to an arena and ain't no fans in there, I ain't playing. So they can do what they want to do.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
appreciate it. I ain't never played in a game without no fans.
Again, that was after Friday night's win over Milwaukee. Jay Williams, what'd you think of that?
First off, I want to preface my comment by saying I love the way LeBron James thinks, and I love the way he leads. I think in this particular case, I thought it was a little bit irresponsible of him to say, I'm just not going to play if the fans aren't going to be there. And I know sometimes this can catch players off guard if you ask them that kind of serious question after a game. But I thought the right way he should have answered that is by saying, let's do more due diligence. Let's find out more information about this virus first, or what the league's policy is, and let's work together to make sure everybody's safety is actually in measure.
We have seen him historically in moments like this where maybe he was not prepared for the question, because if you watched his face and his body language, he was shocked. So clearly he hadn't seen the memo that the teams had received. Normally in this instance, he will take a breath and say, you know what, I don't know enough about this. And that's the direction I was surprised he didn't go in.
Yeah, I think the thought that I had, and you and I talked about this a little bit before the show, and I'm not trying to excuse anything or anyone, is that right after a game, I used to be a reporter, and I would go into these locker rooms after these games, and Doris, obviously, that's one of the things that you do regularly, is, the players are very focused on the things that just happened. And I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just trying to put into context the fact they just won a huge game. He just went ahead with Giannis. He's obviously feeling great. You get this kind of question in there. I'm not suggesting it was the right answer. It obviously isn't the right answer. But I don't know. Give him a pass might be too strong a word. I think it is important to put that into the context.
I completely understand. But I can combat that and say, from the time I've been 17 years old, going to college, or LeBron James playing for the Cavs or playing for Miami, there are ways that you can revert back to things that you can position yourself to get out of any comment, right? It's just, hey, I don't feel comfortable commenting on that yet. No comment, or let me do some more research. Let me talk to the league. I think there are different ways that you can approach that by them trying to just say, hey, I'm not going to play in any game.
I just think we put these players and coaches in situations where 3 and 4 and 5 times a day, they're asked to speak on something. And I'm going to tell you this, I've misspoke. And I want to give him a pass as well, because I could just tell by his face he was completely shocked. And his natural instinct, and this doesn't have anything to do with load management, but his natural instinct is to play the game he loves at a high level for himself, for his teammates, and make no mistake, for the fans.
Yeah, and again, we all hope it doesn't come to that, obviously, but it does not seem at this point beyond the realm of possibility that some of these games in some sports in this country will wind up being played without any spectators in the seats. We will see. Okay, more on this as we go. Laura, to the NFL. On this Monday from New York, welcome to Get Up, presented by Wendy's. And once again, everyone is all abuzz because Doris Burke
Yes!
CB.
Yes!
Tons of football coming today. Adam Schefter sent a note that said this will be the most significant 2 weeks of the NFL offseason by far, and we will get to that. But speaking of a significant little stretch, how about the weekend that LeBron and the Lakers put together Friday night against the Bucks, and then yesterday in a road game, if you will, against the Clippers? And you know what I loved about this game, Jay Will? LeBron and Kawhi going head-to-head so much.
This is what everybody wanted to see. The two best players potentially in the world, guarding each other both offensively and defensively.
And Doris, they were both ready for the challenge.
Well, you got LeBron caught peeking, and you're so concerned now because Kawhi's so much better of a passer. Well, he dunked it on your head because you're concerned about what's next.
Clippers were up 4 at halftime. Oh, and there's Kawhi again driving around him. Kawhi would score 27 on the day, so he was ready. Let's go to the fourth quarter.